Hey everybody, my name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A in mid-Michigan. I used to be a 5B, but we bumped up. So many of you are probably wondering, where have I been? And that's an excellent question. So today we're going to pot up some Amaryllis that I pulled from the garden, and we are going to talk a little bit about where I've been and how I am going to do these bulbs so that they're going to come up nice and green, and we're going to have some beautiful flowers after Christmas. So the reason why I'm doing this now is because I'd like to wait a little bit longer than a lot of people do to have my Amaryllis. Many people like to have them blooming around Christmas time, but myself, I feel like there's so many different decorations during Christmas that it's beautiful, and then in January there's not really anything. So that's when I really like to see the blooms on my Amaryllis. So I'm just taking them out of a storage closet that I had. These have been basically out in the garden, and they got lots of sunshine during the summer, and that means that they got fertilized by the sun, as well as some feeding that I gave to them. And now it's time for me to take them apart and repot them into some nice fresh soil, and we're going to then make it so that they will have some very beautiful blooms. Now these Amaryllis are, I would say, probably 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. I've had them for a while, and so we'll see how hard they are to get out of this pot, whether the roots have kind of grown into the sides of this or not. But you want a really nice big bulb when you buy them, and these are probably the Red Lion variety. It's a very common variety that blooms a solid red. Here we go. That one's coming out very nicely. You can tell it's a little bit pot bound. But we're just going to take some of this soil off here as best that we can. And the Red Lions are so beautiful. Sometimes you can get multiple blooms on a bulb. Multiple stems, I should say, because most of them do have multiple blooms. All right, so really these Amaryllis basically have everything that they need in them to bloom because they got that during the summer. So we don't have to worry about getting a ton of soil into this pot or trying to, you know, really worry about these roots too much. But what I've got here is some organic potting mix from Espoma. And I'm just going to take some and fill in the bottom of this pot. And Amaryllis do not like to be buried, so it's really important that we have enough soil for them to sit on. See how much that raises it up. I really want to raise this up a little bit more out of the pot. That looks just right to me. I'm going to add a little bit more in here, and then we're going to tuck it around it. Kind of fill in the gaps around the corner edges here. And you can bury this about a third, or you can do like I'm doing, which is just to bury the roots and allow the bulb to stay up on top. And I'm hoping this will prevent fungus gnats. I'm hoping I don't get any just by replacing most of the soil, because sometimes I get those when you take the bulbs outside and they stay out during the summertime. Sometimes you can get some insects that you otherwise wouldn't have in the soil. So that actually looks really good. And after I get both of these potted up, I will water them in. So hopefully you can see that pretty well. All right, let's do number 2. So where have I been? Gosh, guys, I've just been really busy. Been busy with work, and then busy with my son's soccer schedule, and it has taken a lot of my spare time. So I haven't had as much time to devote to gardening as I would like. During the month of October, my husband spends a lot of time working on our haunted house. And so during that time, I spend a lot more time running to soccer and things like that. Anyhow, I'm hoping to be able to have a little bit more time to do gardening this coming year. I'm looking forward to it and doing some more videos for you. Obviously, during the winter time, there's not quite as much gardening for me to do, but let me know if you guys would be interested in, I usually like to do some garden tours during the winter time just to get you guys outside so you can see what it looks like and so you can see what type of winter interest is going on in the garden. It's kind of fun to see. Everybody's garden looks so different in the winter time, I think. Let's see if I can get this one out. All right, this one doesn't seem quite as root bound. It's going to take a little work to scrape out some of the potting mix that was in here. Seems rather compacted, actually. So it's good we're changing it out this time. Woo! I'm making a mess. Okay, that looks good. Add a little bit of this potting mix in the bottom here. And I don't know if you can tell, but I have a little baby bulb that's growing on this one. This is actually its second year on there. We'll see if that one will stick around this year and how that one does if it grows on a little bit more. I unearthed a few ants. This is what happens when you take your plants outside and then you bring them back in. You just get some insects. So how are you guys doing? Are you ready for the holidays? It's such a busy time of year for everyone. We got our tree up and it looks really pretty. And I just love the lights this time of year. So I have a question for some of you. Have you grown any Amaryllis bulbs yet this year? And if so, do you like them to bloom at Christmas time? Or do you like them to bloom at a different time? I think I'm probably one of the odd people out here. I don't think I'm your average Joe wanting them to bloom after Christmas. I think a lot of people get them for people for Christmas gifts that are in bloom. Are there any videos that you guys would like to see during this winter time? I know sometimes I have done some seed starting videos in the past. Or talked about how I've created like a garden that's really good for wildlife, but has all of the different habitats that are necessary to support it. What kind of things are you interested in learning about right now? I could share with you some of the books that I like to read on gardening. These are looking pretty good. Just trying to get this soil kind of tucked in around this one. It's a little bit harder than the first one because it's just not as root bound. And get all of this debris from the outside of the bulb off. Just kind of the husk that's a little bit dried up. Clear some of that away. Okay, I think that looks good. Now I just need to water them in and kind of clean the pots off. And then these will go in a spot where they get indirect light. You don't want them to be in the bright, bright sunshine. And they don't need very much water. A lot of times I get comments from people over the years about their amaryllises turning yellow, the leaves turning yellow. Usually that's just because they're being overwatered. They really don't need a ton of water this time of year. All right, let me grab a watering can and we'll get those watered in. So I'm just going to do a little bit. Like I said, not too much. Just want to give it enough to know that it's time to start growing again. And you can see that there are green portions to the bulb already without me even having taken these out of the closet. They're just ready to begin growing again. Okay, well that does it for those two. I have this brand new one that I got right here in this bowl. Well, thank you so much for joining me for potting up those two amaryllis today. I think that's going to be it for today. I'm going to do the same thing with this bulb and just kind of place them around the house when they do start to bloom, and we'll keep you updated. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye!